The gentle hum of the engines vibrated softly through the floor of the aircraft, setting a calm tone throughout the plush first-class cabin. Passengers settled into their luxurious seats, immersed in their own worlds, some flipping through magazines, others typing busily away on laptops, while some simply gazed out at the cottony clouds below. In the second row, discreetly hidden beneath a baseball cap and oversized sunglasses, Travis Kelce reclined his seat slightly, relaxing after a long, grueling season. Beside him, Taylor Swift, her iconic blonde hair tucked neatly behind her ears, softly laughed at a private joke Travis whispered. They had both mastered the art of traveling unnoticed, or at least they thought so. Directly across the aisle, another first-class passenger, a sharply dressed woman in her early 40s, glanced sideways at the couple, a mocking smirk appearing on her lips. With polished nails tapping impatiently on the armrest, she leaned towards her traveling companion, a distinguished man absorbed in his tablet, and spoke just loud enough to draw subtle attention. "Honestly," she scoffed, her tone dripping with disdain, "celebrities these days think they own every space they occupy. Look at them acting like they're royalty. It's just Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. One throws a ball, the other writes breakup songs. Hardly world-changing." Her companion responded with a disinterested shrug, clearly not as engaged in celebrity gossip. Still, her comment hung in the air like an unpleasant aroma, reaching Travis and Taylor's ears clearly. Travis felt a quick surge of irritation, but Taylor simply squeezed his hand gently beneath the soft airline blanket, silently reminding him not to engage. They had heard worse, and both were used to criticism. It came with their territory. Taylor merely turned away, choosing instead to glance out the window, her gaze following the dreamy patterns formed by the afternoon sun filtering through the clouds. But the woman wasn't satisfied with their lack of reaction. Growing visibly bolder, she turned toward Travis directly, raising her voice just enough to carry across the aisle. "Must be nice, Mr. Kelce," she began sarcastically, her voice laden with mock admiration. "Having all that money just for running around a field and still managing to score a pop star girlfriend. Is that your idea of an achievement?" Travis stiffened slightly, adjusting his cap but still choosing to ignore her provocation. Taylor, sensing his discomfort, turned slightly toward the woman, her expression calm yet unyielding. "Actually, his achievements are more than just running around a field," Taylor said quietly, her voice composed but firm. "But we're just trying to enjoy the flight. Maybe we all should." The woman gave a derisive laugh, tossing her perfectly styled hair over her shoulder. Her eyes sparkled with a sharp, superior gleam as she retorted, "Oh, of course, forgive me for interrupting the great Travis Kelce and the almighty Taylor Swift. It's just fascinating to me how people idolize such superficial success." Several passengers nearby shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension growing thick in the air. A flight attendant approached quickly, sensing the potential conflict. "Is everything all right here?" he asked politely, his professional smile unwavering, though his eyes darted between the woman and Taylor, recognizing the tension instantly. Taylor nodded reassuringly, offering a gracious smile. "Everything's fine. Thank you." The woman, however, scoffed again, clearly intent on escalating. "Of course, everything's fine for you too. I'm sure first class is your birthright." With a resigned sigh, Travis finally spoke, his voice gentle yet commanding enough to carry authority. "Look, we're not trying to bother anyone here. We're just trying to relax on our flight like everyone else. Maybe you could do the same." A brief silence settled over the cabin. Passengers exchanged glances, some shaking their heads discreetly at the woman's audacity. Momentarily subdued, she sank back into her seat with an irritated sigh, clearly unsatisfied but temporarily silenced. But the reprieve didn't last long. As soon as the plane leveled out after hitting mild turbulence, the woman resumed her mocking commentary, this time directing her disdainful remarks to the passenger on her other side, a younger woman who clearly admired Taylor and Travis from afar. "Can you believe people worship these types?" she sneered audibly, gesturing dismissively toward the celebrities. "No wonder society's values are crumbling, idolizing athletes and singers over real achievements." The younger woman, clearly uncomfortable, looked down shyly, avoiding confrontation. Yet Travis overheard, feeling a renewed sting of annoyance. He shook his head slightly, more at the audacity and ignorance than personal offense. Taylor squeezed his arm again, comforting him quietly, whispering softly, "Let it go, Trav. She's not worth it." But just as Travis was about to fully relax again, the older woman, emboldened by his silence, raised her voice enough to make sure he'd hear her clearly. "You know," she said sharply to her companion, "I heard Travis Kelce's charity is just a tax write-off. All PR. And Taylor Swift? What good is a musician who profits off her failed relationships? Pathetic, really." This time, Taylor's jaw tightened slightly, her composure tested. Travis felt a deep, protective surge, turning to finally confront the woman directly. But before he could speak, a voice sounded gently from the back of the first-class cabin, calm but authoritative, silencing everyone immediately. "Excuse me," spoke the voice firmly, resonating with quiet strength. Everyone turned to see who had intervened. A sophisticated older gentleman standing by his seat, adjusting his suit jacket calmly. He slowly walked forward, and the entire cabin seemed to hold its breath, recognizing his unmistakable presence. The woman who had been openly mocking Travis and Taylor visibly paled, eyes widening in sudden recognition, a shocked expression overtaking her once haughty demeanor. "Senator? Senator Collins?" she stammered in disbelief. "Yes, Andrea," he replied steadily, a disappointed tone coloring his voice. "It seems you've forgotten that respect is still valued in our family. I've been quietly listening to your conversation for some time now." Andrea swallowed hard, eyes darting nervously between her uncle, the respected U.S. Senator, and the now openly intrigued passengers around her, many secretly recording this unexpected twist. I didn't know you were aboard," Andrea whispered, clearly embarrassed. Senator Collins continued quietly but sternly, his eyes never wavering. "You didn't realize because you were too busy mocking two individuals who've used their platforms for genuine good. Travis Kelce's foundation has provided thousands of underprivileged children with life-changing opportunities, and Taylor Swift regularly advocates and donates quietly to countless charities." Andrea opened her mouth to reply, but no words emerged. Her confidence evaporated instantly under the weight of her uncle's dignified but firm rebuke. "Furthermore," the senator added, turning slightly toward Travis and Taylor with a respectful nod, "success in sports and music inspires millions globally. It takes courage, discipline, and sacrifice, qualities perhaps you've momentarily forgotten." The silence after his words was profound, broken only by the soft hum of the plane engines. Andrea's eyes dropped, cheeks flushed bright red with humiliation and shame. Turning fully to Travis and Taylor now, Senator Collins extended his hand politely, his expression apologetic but dignified. "Allow me to sincerely apologize for my niece's rudeness. Her behavior is not reflective of the values our family cherishes." Travis shook the senator's hand warmly, nodding appreciatively. "Thank you, sir. We really appreciate your kind words." Taylor, gracious and poised despite the earlier insults, smiled softly. "It's all right, Senator Collins. Misunderstandings happen." The senator nodded, admiration clear in his eyes. "Your maturity is commendable. Both of you handle yourselves with grace. Perhaps others," he glanced pointedly at his niece, "could learn from your example." Andrea sank deeper into her seat, utterly mortified, fully realizing her mistake. Her uncle's words hit harder than any insult could have, making her regret deeply how quickly she had judged the couple. In the stillness following the senator's intervention, Travis gently leaned towards Taylor, whispering softly into her ear, "Never expected a senator would step in on our behalf today." Taylor laughed gently, her eyes sparkling as she whispered back, "Life is full of surprises. Maybe there's even a song here." Travis chuckled quietly, tension melting away. Nearby, Andrea sat silently, deeply reflecting on her behavior. She finally understood. Mocking others, regardless of who they were, said more about her own insecurities than anyone else's accomplishments. As the flight continued smoothly through the clouds, a peaceful quiet settled again across the first-class cabin. Andrea Collins remained visibly shaken, sitting stiffly in her seat, her eyes focused straight ahead, desperately avoiding further eye contact with Travis, Taylor, and her uncle. Senator Collins. Yet despite her attempt to remain composed, Andrea's mind raced wildly, replaying the senator's dignified reprimand. She had always prided herself on her sharp wit and bold critiques, traits she mistakenly believed made her respected. Yet here, thousands of feet above the earth, her misplaced arrogance had been brutally exposed, humbling her deeply. The gentle clinking of a beverage cart approaching snapped Andrea momentarily from her introspection. A flight attendant offered refreshments politely, her smile courteous and unaffected by the earlier tension. Andrea weakly accepted a glass of sparkling water, holding it between her trembling fingers, hoping the coolness might calm her flushed embarrassment. Across the aisle, Travis and Taylor quietly resumed their conversation, effortlessly regaining the gentle warmth they'd shared before the incident. Taylor leaned softly against Travis, comfortably close as they flipped through a playlist on her phone, sharing private laughs and quiet whispers. Their genuine affection seemed to illuminate their corner of the cabin, completely unaffected by Andrea's earlier negativity. Observing their interactions discreetly, Andrea felt a pang of jealousy, not merely of their fame, but of the authenticity and kindness they clearly shared. She had quickly judged them as superficial, basing her opinion entirely on tabloids and assumptions. Yet, watching them closely now, Andrea saw warmth, humility, and mutual respect, qualities she had utterly dismissed moments earlier. A sudden, gentle voice startled Andrea from her introspection once more. "Andrea," Senator Collins quietly said, his tone softened by genuine concern. He had moved discreetly to sit beside her, clearly wanting a private conversation. "I'm not here to lecture you further, but perhaps this is a moment for reflection." Andrea swallowed nervously, finally meeting her uncle's compassionate but stern gaze. I suppose I didn't really think about what I was saying," she confessed softly, genuine remorse thickening her voice. The senator nodded slowly, his expression wise and understanding. "Words matter, Andrea, especially when aimed at those we don't truly know. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, despite their fame, are still people. People who've worked incredibly hard to reach the heights they have. Success isn't measured solely by your title or position, but by how you impact others." Andrea sighed deeply, finally understanding the magnitude of her mistake. She had, in her prideful ignorance, unfairly criticized two people who use their extraordinary platforms to uplift others, inspiring millions. Her earlier words now felt bitterly ironic. She had mocked them for supposed superficiality while displaying a superficiality of her own, wrapped in cynicism. Realizing her sincere regret, the senator softened further, placing a gentle hand on her arm. "We all make mistakes, Andrea. What defines us isn't the mistakes themselves, but how we respond and grow afterward." Taking a deep breath, Andrea glanced across the aisle, watching Travis gently help Taylor adjust her blanket, a small, caring gesture that spoke volumes. It was precisely this kindness, displayed without expectation of acknowledgement, that she had entirely overlooked in her narrow-minded judgment. "I need to apologize," Andrea whispered quietly, surprising herself even as she said it. The senator nodded approvingly, proud of his niece's willingness to face her error head-on. "That's a wise choice," he encouraged warmly. "Humility is never weakness. It's strength." Gathering her courage, Andrea slowly stood up from her seat, adjusting her jacket nervously as she crossed the short distance separating her from the celebrity couple she had so harshly criticized. Travis and Taylor, seeing her approach, paused their quiet conversation, their expressions polite but cautiously guarded. Taking a deep breath, Andrea spoke clearly, yet humbly. "I want to sincerely apologize for my behavior earlier. I had no right to judge or mock either of you. My comments were completely unfair, and I deeply regret them." A brief silence filled the cabin again, this time more reflective than tense. Travis, studying Andrea's genuine discomfort, softened his expression, nodding quietly. "I appreciate your apology," he responded sincerely. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong." Taylor added gently, "Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we learn and grow from them that counts." Apology accepted. Andrea visibly relaxed at their graciousness, feeling a deep sense of relief and gratitude. She hadn't expected their forgiveness so readily, further underscoring how wrong her initial judgments had been. "Thank you both," she said softly, sincerity clear in her voice. "I've learned an important lesson today. It's easy to forget that celebrities are still real people with real feelings. I'll be much more mindful of that moving forward." Taylor offered Andrea a warm, reassuring smile, her voice filled with empathy. "We all make assumptions sometimes. It's natural, but kindness and understanding will always get you farther." Travis agreed, his friendly demeanor instantly dissolving the tension. "Maybe next time we'll just chat about the game instead of my personal life," he joked gently, breaking the ice and eliciting a genuine, relieved laugh from Andrea. Feeling her spirits lighten considerably, Andrea returned to her seat beside Senator Collins, her heart lighter and her mind clearer than she could remember in a long time. She quietly reflected on her uncle's words. Humility wasn't weakness, it was indeed strength. As the flight continued its smooth path across the expansive sky, Travis turned affectionately to Taylor, whispering gently, "I never expected this flight to be so enlightening. You handled yourself beautifully, as always." Taylor smiled softly, her eyes warm and reflective. "We both did. Moments like these remind me why compassion is always better than anger." A comfortable silence followed, each passenger lost in their thoughts of kindness, humility, and redemption. Even Andrea, despite her earlier embarrassment, felt oddly grateful for the entire experience. It had taught her something essential about humility and the importance of respecting others. Suddenly, the gentle announcement from the pilot echoed softly through the cabin, signaling their imminent descent into Los Angeles. Passengers began slowly preparing for landing, buckling seat belts and stowing belongings. Travis and Taylor, hands gently intertwined, felt closer than ever, having weathered yet another storm with dignity and grace. Senator Collins, glancing warmly at his niece, quietly whispered, "Sometimes life's most valuable lessons come in unexpected ways, don't they?" Andrea nodded softly, smiling genuinely now. "Yes, Uncle, they really do. I'm grateful you were here to remind me." As the plane descended through the soft golden California sunset, passengers felt more than just physical relief at landing. They shared a subtle sense of emotional journey, having witnessed firsthand the power of humility and genuine human connection. Andrea, now forever changed by a brief but impactful encounter, realized she had underestimated not just Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, but herself. She silently vowed to carry forward the lesson she'd learned thousands of feet above the ground. Kindness was never wasted, humility was true power, and respect was owed to all, no matter how famous or ordinary. Meanwhile, Travis and Taylor prepared to disembark, quietly sharing smiles, knowing their journey had been about more than just traveling from one city to another. It had been about demonstrating compassion, patience, and empathy even when confronted with unnecessary negativity. As the aircraft touched down smoothly on the runway, Andrea leaned toward her uncle, offering heartfelt thanks once more. "Thank you for guiding me through this. I've learned something invaluable today." The senator smiled knowingly, wisdom shining clearly in his eyes. "Remember, Andrea, real power comes from lifting others up, not tearing them down." She nodded, profoundly grateful. "I'll remember that." Outside, the sun slipped beneath the horizon, bathing the airport in a soft, warm glow. Travis and Taylor exited the plane first, pausing briefly to wave kindly to Andrea and Senator Collins, leaving no lingering bitterness, only warmth and respect. Andrea watched them go, feeling a newfound sense of hope and understanding, her regret fully transforming into a powerful, lasting lesson in humility and empathy. As Andrea stepped off the plane onto the bustling jet bridge, she paused for a moment, reflecting deeply on the events of the flight. A single encounter, initially marked by judgment and conflict, had transformed into a profound lesson in humility, compassion, and respect. Beside her, Senator Collins placed a reassuring hand gently on her shoulder. "I'm proud of you, Andrea," he said softly. "Admitting a mistake takes genuine courage. Remember, everyone you meet is fighting their own battles, famous or not." Andrea nodded thoughtfully, feeling gratitude swell within her chest. I understand that clearly now. It's easy to judge when we're looking from the outside in, but kindness takes effort, and I want to make that effort." Across the terminal, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift walked confidently yet humbly, attracting admiring glances from passers-by. Despite their fame, their demeanor remained grounded, and their smiles warm and genuine. As they waited briefly near the baggage claim, Travis gently squeezed Taylor's hand, whispering, "Well, that turned into quite the memorable flight." Taylor laughed softly, her eyes shining with affection. "Definitely not what I expected when we boarded, but it reminded me why we handle things with grace. You never know whose heart you might touch." Just as they retrieved their luggage, Andrea approached them one final time, her posture confident yet respectful. Her voice carried sincerity, tinged with genuine gratitude. "Thank you again for your kindness and patience. You've both given me an invaluable lesson I'll never forget." Taylor smiled warmly, compassion brightening her eyes. "Sometimes the best lessons come in unexpected ways." Travis nodded kindly, adding gently, "We're glad things ended positively. Take care, Andrea." With heartfelt smiles exchanged, Andrea watched the celebrity couple move gracefully through the crowd, disappearing into the busy terminal. She stood quietly, feeling profoundly grateful that a seemingly uncomfortable encounter had sparked such personal growth. Senator Collins gently squeezed her shoulder once more, warmly guiding her forward. "Now, let's head home. I'm certain you'll carry today's lesson into every future interaction." Andrea took a deep breath, confidently stepping forward, knowing deep down that she had truly changed. From now on, every person she encountered, whether famous or unknown, would receive the respect and kindness they deserved. After all, she now understood clearly. True strength was found not in mockery or judgment, but in empathy, compassion, and humility, values that transcended fame, fortune, or status. And this lesson, learned thousands of feet above the earth in the first-class cabin, was one Andrea would cherish forever.